Watch brought its Public Square project to Green Bay today. The outdoor exhibit at St. James Park featured the work of photojournalist Joe Timmerman, who spent more than a year traveling across Wisconsin documenting people who are helping build connections in their communities. Organizers say the goal is to highlight the people and spaces that help bring communities together.
At this time, when a lot of people are maybe lonely, isolated by themselves, Joe is documenting the people who connect us and connect neighbors to neighbors, and the spaces with which people come together to share community.
Attendees also had the chance to hear from community members featured in the project during a panel discussion and question and answer session.